What's poppin', y'all? This has to be one of the worst humiliations I've seen. And there's layers to this humiliation. It's like an onion that we've got to peel back and forth. So this dude, Akash Singh, he is partners with Andrew Schultz in this popular podcast, Flagrant. It used to be Flagrant too, but then they just changed it to Flagrant. And the co-host, Andrew Schultz, he had done a ton of stuff with Charlemagne. But these guys, they had, a couple of years ago, they had Myron and the other guy from the Fresh and Fit podcast on there, and they grilled them and all of that while they were first going viral. But it's come back to really bite Akash in the behind in a very wild way. So the first layer of this is Myron Gaines, who is arguably, we can agree that he, whether you like him or not, he is one of the most hated people on the internet. And this is important because if you are hated, that means even if you put forth something that is reasonable or maybe even true, people at default will do their best to downplay it, shy away from it, look the other way, any number of things, because if people don't like you, they don't want to agree with you, they don't want to say you're spitting. So when Myron put together this compilation, it's got bad, and people that hated Myron were agreeing with him. And I'm gonna play you guys this original clip because wow, is it bad?
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
What I find corny is my preference is not my women. Now, I thought it was I'm not dating my women, period, which is the corniest human being outside of a criminal to me, period.
Akash only dates brown. Akash has been with one girl in his life who is his wife.
That's my wife. That's an Indian woman.
So this
that
is
was
like loyal through and through.
So at this point in time, in the beginning part, that's when they had them on the podcast several years ago. And they were doing this whole good cop, bad cop thing. I think those guys that came on as guests, they expected to be greeted maybe in a welcoming manner, but that was not the case. And it was a good setup by the Flagrant guys. They did an excellent job of their aim, which was, hey, make these guys look crazy, which is fair enough. However, at this point in time, I already thought at that point, what is Akash saying to anybody when he was 30 plus and he's like, well, you guys talk about relationships, this and that, when the guy's been in one. That makes zero sense. Or not even been in one, but only had one to choose from. And then it just so happens to be the one that's closest to you, like another Indian woman. It's almost like somebody is talking about countries and world travel, and the only place they've been to is their neighboring country. And you're like, dog, what are you talking about? You're not equipped in this realm to speak on things. So you should probably just be like, maybe ask questions. That seems to be something like, hey, are you qualified? What experience do you have? Regardless, it gets worse because at that time, his wife, I don't know why I think a girlfriend in my head, but his wife, she was not on social media. She decided to get on social media, one of the falls of many modern public-facing men. I don't want to say successful men, but public-facing men. And brother, this was bad.
Sometimes I get so painfully nostalgic for college. I was popping my and living my best life in these white boy frats.
Okay, I have two beautiful stories. So one time I met this guy on Tinder and I made the dumb mistake of letting him sleep over, like not really wanting to up. And I like woke up in the morning and like my was a little sore.
Oh my God.
And I remember
you and your husband split finances. And I'm going to be really honest.
I don't.
We don't.
First of all, that's a red flag. I'm not like, no joke. I love you girls. If you want to work, all for that, whatever. But like any man that doesn't want to have a joint bank account or isn't being transparent with his accounts or has separate accounts, that's a red flag. This is not a two-way street. This is a one-way street. His money is our money and my money is my money. And look, have I only made $600 from content creating?
Wow, I went up $100 from last week.
But that's my money. Okay?
I don't know if you watch The Boys, but I love him on The Boys.
I never watched that show, but like he's on my hall pass list.
Oh, yeah.
Chase Crawford, Jacob Elordi, Austin Butler, and who else?
Do you know why I think I have like a good marriage? I think it's because my husband's never here. Okay, so I've been getting a lot of comments that I'm using my husband for clout, and
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. No lies were told. I am leveraging the support I have. It's kind of like nepotism. What's wrong with...
So this part was bad enough, right? But I was trying to cut Akash a break. I'm like, listen, man, this guy Myron hates him. He may manipulate anything in order to make it seem worse than it is. You know, I thought to my head, okay, his wife's got a podcast. Maybe he encouraged her to have her own comedy podcast, right? Maybe that's what it was, right? No, there couldn't be anything else. And this is where the problem lies a little bit later. But she goes on and she tries to do this type of comedy that is not hitting the right audience. So towards the end, when she's like, oh yeah, you know, everyone's saying I'm using my husband. Yeah, it's like spousal nepotism. And you just think about it and you're like, well, if this was only hitting a female audience, this would be fine. But the audience that this is hitting is the male audience. And you don't want that. It's almost like, think of if, who is somebody that's really, really out there? Think, oh my God. Well, let's just take a Myron, for example, or on a lesser note in academics. If those two guys were shown, like let's say they were small and they were only shown to a female audience, what do you think the response would be? It would be brutal. It would be terrible. It would be a nightmare for them. In this woman's case, Akash's wife, she's not big. And she's only getting male attention here and negative male attention here for embarrassing her husband. And this is another thing where I was like, okay, well, she's just talking about her past, right? Like, who cares about her past, man? Like, if you're man enough, you can take that. Like, we've already confirmed I'm just a boy. That's, like I've said that, you know, like, what's her name? Wendy Ortiz, the streamer, she said she's just a girl. She can't figure out whether to do a subathon or to watch her daughter. And I feel her on that, man. You know, when you're just a kid at heart and upstairs in your mind, you don't know any better. So I leave that to the men out there in the world, you know, to bear the responsibilities for the rest of us. But she's talking about getting cracked up, right, left, center, when Akash's pride is, yeah, you know, like I waited and I held off my entire life for my wife. And I thought, okay, well, all right, so she's embarrassing him, but he knows about this stuff, right? Like, he didn't think that she was also a virgin when she met him, right? And that's where this clip came in, and I just had to throw in the white towel. I just threw it right in the middle of the ring. I had to get Akash back into our corner. We were not going to do another training camp together, that's for sure, after I saw this clip.
Different. My wife also hadn't had any partner, so that helped us connect a lot more.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe her?
If you've seen her, then it's hard to believe. Yeah. I remember I was just like, what? But she was like, she was 22, I was 31. There was an age gap.
Oh, man. That is when everything came crashing down. And I'm thinking, like, dog, if it's hard to believe, then you probably shouldn't believe it. You know, it's almost like if an offer is too good to be true, then it's probably not true. But he's like, listen, you guys wouldn't believe this if you saw her. And it seems like we wouldn't believe it if we saw her. We definitely don't believe it after we heard her. And it seems like he's the only person that believed it. So I don't know, was this guy watching her podcast and were they having arguments about this? But his wife would come out to address this in a very... she's just so unlikable. And I know she's trying to be unlikable. That's the worst part about it. And it doesn't hit the same. Like, she doesn't have that oomph to it. But she talks about this in another clip I'm going to play for you guys right now.
This comment is so gross to me. Excuse my face, I just got a Fraxel, so it looks a little crazy. But it's like, who the f*** are you to talk about when I lost my virginity? I will talk about it because it's my sexuality and it's my story. So sit the f*** down and shut the f*** up. And also, do you think Akash never touched a woman before he met me? Like, we both up with people, we both were in relationships, and then together we both lost our virginity. So sit the down. You're like, just unfollow me. You're so annoying.
She's saying, oh, do you guys believe Akash had never touched a woman before me? Yeah, no, I believe he probably gave a hug to his mother, you know, a kiss on the forehead, maybe held his sister's hand walking her to school if he has one, maybe gave a couple of hugs. Yeah, sure. But do we believe Akash when he says that, yeah, he was never with the chick before his wife? Yes, I think 100% of us in the audience believe that. Why would he lie about that? Now, her lying, that's a different story. Because Akash would even talk about how they met. And this is the thing too, because she would talk about stories where she was saying like, yeah, like I invited a guy over and he was sticking stuff up her behind. So she's already moving towards the behind. And yeah, I let him sleep over. Like, come on, dog. This is where we got to get to. What is the definition of a virgin? Because she might have been one of those like quote unquote, I don't know how true this is. They say it's a thing in Turkey. They also say it's a thing in Catholic schools where they're like, yeah, like you're a virgin if you just only take it from behind. It's like, okay, I guess, but isn't like sodomy is technically worse than losing it? But hey, listen, I guess these people haven't finished any chapter of the book, frankly. But we don't believe her. She's doing damage control right now, and it makes sense. Everything makes sense now when you think, okay, so she was 22, Akash was maybe 31, but a 31-year-old dude that had zero experience. Okay, he gets fooled by her, and then now they're locked in, and she's just talking about whatever. She's like, well, what do I have to lose? If he divorces me, he's cooked, he's deep fried. Let's be real here. Do you think Akash is the type of individual, just from what we've gotten so far, that would protect all of his assets prior to marrying this love of his life in case things went sour? Or do you think he was one of the types that said, listen, we're going to be together forever. She would never do that to me. Like, listen, I know that's happened to a lot of people, but that's not my situation. She's different, okay? Do you understand that? Yeah, I think it's more likely to be the fact that he would completely get screwed if a divorce were to happen. So she has all of the leverage, and she could say whatever she wants, and he can kick rocks otherwise, which he won't end up kicking rocks. But you're probably thinking, all right, does this get any worse? Well, other than her being on that podcast with her friend, I'm going to play you guys a couple of clips from there right now.
I'm actively trying to have an because, and you haven't seen Nav yet, but wait till you see him. His body goes crazy. His face card always slays, never declines. And it's kind of weird because I'm talking about your husband. I just know that Nav's is like at least 10 inches. What kind of do you watch when you use a
Okay, not gonna lie, I don't watch while using a What? I just think my imagination is vibration enough.
Wow.
I'm just thinking of like my own husband while I'm like doing it.
Wait, that's kind of baller, but I could never do that.
Yeah. And so I was.
So this podcast is all about how crude her and her friend can get. She's talking about cracking her friend's husband. Her friend is talking about, oh yeah, nah, I don't watch any like X-rated content, any adults type of stuff. And I just think about my husband. And she's like, really? Couldn't be me. I could never. Oh my God, that's so the brutality in that is just horrifying. Oh my God. So he goes through all of that. So that's the essence of their podcast. They're trying to do the whole call her daddy shtick, but like I said earlier, the thing with the call her daddy shtick is that their audience was just females. By the time, I think the majority of, I have never seen a call her daddy clip, the original, when it was just her and her friend before they broke up, which ironically, I think some guy broke them up because he told her like, hey, you could be getting so much more money and you're better than the other one. And they had that whole thing with Barstool. After that, I think I saw a clip here and there when she's interviewing people, whether it be Cardi B or it turned more into an interview show than them just sharing their own stories. So they were able to build up an audience of females, which is great for them. They can talk all that crude stuff amongst each other, but these girls were unable to do that. Akash's wife, I don't even know her name, Jasneep or Jazlee. I'm not going to look up her name because frankly, it doesn't matter what your name is. So there's that. And then this is the problem too. Akash can't even have boy talk. Like the guy's on. Do you think that he would ever be talking like this about his wife? Absolutely not. He wouldn't, because he would find it disrespectful. He'd be like, nah, I can't talk about my wife like that. I can't talk about my past well, he doesn't have past happenings. I can't talk about like what I would do, because that's the only scenario something's going to happen. And so he's being the good old boy, the good old golden retriever, even on the podcast, while she is out there destroying his name. And this is the thing. You have an asset. All you have to do is protect the asset. But instead of protecting the asset, doing a little maintenance on the home, she goes outside, she gets a sledgehammer, she starts breaking windows, she throws a fire into the barn, all the bales of hay are going, the horses just ran out, they're all escaping, so now you got no horses, your livestock, chickens is moving everywhere, the coyotes start eating them. Do coyotes eat chickens? Or do wolves eat chickens? I don't know. Like, I didn't grow up in the countryside, as you can probably tell. So that starts happening, and the property's just going down and down. You're like, yo, you just had to, you didn't even have to make sure to do maintenance. You just had to sit inside and we would have been fine. But Akash's wife is like, no, I need to set fire to the rain because life is too good right now. And that's the deal. Is I think that she was 22, right? She gets out of college. He's clearly taken care of any and everything that she wanted. And she just got too much time on her hands. What is it? Idle hands are the devil's playground, or an idle mind is the devil's playground. When you've got too much time, you just do nothing with it. And ironically, when you have too much time, time passes by faster when you're just doing nothing. Like, you ever had a spurt of time, let's say a couple of weeks when you were a kid, or God forbid if you're an adult, and then you just played, like, you would wake up, you just play video games all day, and then boom, like a snap of a finger, you're like, what the hell did I just do the past month? Like, where did the past month go? And some people unfortunately get stuck in this for years, and then they're like, yo, years of my life just feel like a blur. Like, if you ask someone like, yo, what happened on March of last year? They're like, I don't really know. Anything eventful happened? I don't know. And games is just one example of it, but for some people it could be a lot worse. Like, you know, what some people may go through drug binges, or some people just may be going through the motions of like a regular job, and there's no novelty. They're not trying to change things up, not change up their career, what I'm talking about, but just add something new. So for her, she's probably just scrolling. She's got TikTok brain. That's what she has. And her man is and she doesn't have to deal with the stresses of finances or working for anything. So everything's handed, and she's just sitting there and decides, you know what, let me start a podcast and light everything on fire. And then there was another clip where she's getting crude with this, I don't know if this is a doctor, if this is a nurse's assistant, or what's that other thing called? A nurse practitioner, yes. I'm going to play you guys that clip too.
Get this little film.
It's a ring light.
So-
Dr. Trevor, what are we doing?
So Justine sustained a bruise through some physical activity at home. And we treat a lot of bruises here, bruises for many different reasons. And so we have an external laser called the D-beam and the DAP.
Also, I heard you're single. Is that true?
Go back to treating. Typically get these types of bruises on the neck.
Wait,
we
why?
call them something else on the neck, and it's surprisingly.
We have yet to hear a response from Akash Singh, and frankly, I don't think there can be a response. There's also another clip of him like re-proposing to her, like talking about renewing vows. This is the whole thing. A vow, it's supposed to be till death do us part. All right, that's the vow. What do you need to renew about till death do us part? Like, did the EKG flatline and then the person came back to life, and you're like, okay, we got to renew our vows. What are you doing here? The guy's been married for like, what, 3 years? I know I'm gassing it a little bit. It's probably been a little bit longer than that. But what are you talking about? Like, I don't even think his wife's gotten her first gray hair for you to renew vows. But in that clip, he like gives her the ring, and she's just staring at the ring, like flexing it, and then he tries to go in for a kiss, and she gives him the cheek. I think if that was the only clip, people would say like, come on, man, like you're reaching a little bit. But that clip coming out after everything that came out first, it hits harder. But I don't think that's even really relevant. And like I said, I'm not here to reach. I'm not here to like try to, I don't have anything personal against the guy, but I did think he was, you know, talking out of his element, out of his depth. And I'm interested to see how he replies to this, because there's no way you are losing a beef to one of the most hated people online and people want to root for you. Like I saw on Twitter, because like I feel like home of India is Twitter X, and oh my goodness, every sing I've ever seen is on there ripping him to shreds. And this guy tries to like represent like India, like, yo, you know, I didn't see many Indian people on TV. And it's like, really? Okay. But yeah, well, they were memes, and he is a little bit older, so it makes sense. Yeah, he's probably right. Not memes. They were used as like stereotypes. But all these sings are ripping him apart. Every Indian is laughing at him. So, and what can he say? That's the thing. But I will tell you what won't happen. There will not be a split of these two. I can almost guarantee that. This guy, the only way that this ends is if she leaves. And she's not leaving. So let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Would you be man enough to hold down the situation? Would you be man enough to hold down the fort like Akash? Or are you a little boy and you're going to dip out at the first sign of a little bit of a public struggle because you don't want to support your wife's pursuits? Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.